You know, for a lot of people, it's getting harder to wake up. It's getting hard when that nice warm bed is sitting there and that 6:30 alarm goes off and you're just staring. You're just staring at the ceiling. How can I do this? How can I get out of bed? How can I push myself to go do the hard day's work? You know, you're starting early. Things are cold. Things are not good. It's much darker outside because winter's setting in. It's no fun in the summer. Like, you have class, you have work, you have whatever is going on in your life. It's getting harder. And for me, it's certainly the same. But I've kind of been adopting something lately that I think you should too. It's practicing gratitude. And that kind of sounds lame. That kind of sounds like a cop-out answer. Probably 50% of the people watching this video have already clicked off because they're like, I don't need this guy's advice. Don't click off yet, because I'm not talking about some shallow idea of it. Some shallow idea of being like, oh, I'm so thankful I can get out of bed every morning. No, you're not going to be thankful. I'm talking about being grateful. I'm talking about practicing gratitude. I'm talking about thinking about this from a holistic scale. When I get up in the morning at least this last week, a little bit before, I've been thinking of like how lucky I am to be able to get up like that. I'm thinking of all the steps that brought me here. I hate being in the little cramped dorm bed, but then I'm grateful when I sit in it at night and it's so warm and it's so comforting, and sleep just like rejuvenates me so much after a long day of class. It's all I want to do is go to the bed. And it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of me becoming grateful just based on my situation. But then I think about all the different steps that took me to college, how hard I worked to be able to get scholarships and be able to like find my way to this place. I think about when I get up all these different things, no matter what the day is. I've stopped caring about what day I'm lifting. It doesn't matter about if it's like a hard leg day or if it's a lighter cardio day. It doesn't really matter at this point. A lift is always in front of me, and getting out and facing the cold is really hard. So what I've been grateful for is the ability to go push that pain into myself, the ability to go get up, the ability to have these products to get ready for myself in the morning, to wash my face with a bar of soap, to have plenty of fresh toothpaste available so I'm not like dirty. I'm grateful for the ability to have this super nice camera that I can record like essentially my adventures on. I don't know if it's very adventurous to be at the gym. It might be a normal thing, but I'm grateful for that normal thing. I'm grateful for just this routine I've been able to establish, because it's very, very exciting and it's very healing for me to be able to do something like this every day. And I'm also grateful for the ability to say that today is not back and biceps. Today is purely back. And I'm going to be absolutely destroying my back. I probably will be walking all funny like this for the rest of the day because I'm not going to be used to it. But I'm really, really grateful for that. I feel like not enough people think about what brought them to these moments. Not enough people think about what's going to be on the other side if they do push past, this wall, this barrier in front of them. And so I think you need to practice being grateful more often, and it'll help push you to go do more, even more amazing things that'll make you more grateful. It'll help you view workouts not as a hurdle to overcome, not as a thing of like, oh, I don't want to do. It makes you grateful for those days you do get to work out, because think about it. On those days when the gym is closed and you really want to get a pump in and it's shut down, you're like, I just wish I could go to the gym. It's a matter of perspective. It's like I said before with the bed. Sometimes that bed seems cramped, tiny, and like, why can't I get an apartment and just get a fat bed that I can chill in all the time? Or after a long day of class, after you had a huge cardio morning, you walked around all day across campus, you had a bunch of tests, you had an advisor meeting, you had all this different stuff, dinner wasn't that great. Crashing into bed is the best feeling ever. So imagine changing your perspective to feel grateful for things almost all the time by imagining, how those things are helpful to your life. I'm not saying you have to give personalities to like inanimate objects. That's kind of dumb. But I'm saying for the blessings you have in your life, not in like a spiritual or religious way, but just in general, think about how lucky you are. Think about how grateful you are, and appreciate the things that you have so you can go out and use those things to achieve even more things that you'll be grateful for. It's like a cycle. It's a cycle. I'm talking too much. Let's get into this back day, and I'm just gonna hope that you're grateful. I'm grateful that you're watching the video already and have listened to me yap at least this long. So I'll say it again for the people that weren't present during the last video, but pull-ups, the main goal of these now is I've been able to manage it for 10, but I want all 10 of those reps to be clean before I start moving on to like weight variations, before I start changing things up to put a little bit more strain on my body. So back is at full capacity now. Back, it shouldn't be a problem, especially with these first 2 sets, about the strength of my back, because back usually gets a week to recover as per all of my lifts, but now it's gotten a little bit over a week based on the way I've kind of changed things, changed the pace of the workout. So it's Wednesday right now, hitting back, only, and back and only back, it's gonna be absolutely sapping the energy out of it, but in its place is gonna be an increased endurance. And especially because I'm at full capacity now, I need to really destroy it today. Okay, first set, very, very simple, very controlled, but that's not really a huge surprise. It's second set where I'm gonna have to maintain that same control. Okay, second set, first grip. First set, I had a little bit different grip than I normally do. I wanna make sure second set I'm actually wrapping my hands completely around, because it's not gonna make or break how I do on these pull-ups, but just it'll give me a little bit more comfort if I have a complete wrap around the bar. So that involves just getting a little bit more height to the jump so I can kind of like land on the bar rather than jump up and try to grab around it, because it's a little bit trickier than just, you know, than kind of jumping up and landing, if that makes sense. Okay, 10 good solid reps. Try to continue that to the last set. Okay, last set, the elbows were popping, and definitely the arms were kind of swollen from the target muscles day I hit yesterday, just because I hit a lot of arm stuff. So maybe that's kind of what's gonna slow these back day. Let me redo that sentence. Maybe this is what's going to slow these back days down just a little bit. It's just kind of a little bit of that arm fatigue, but it's not insane. It's not going to completely stop back day from moving. It's just, you know, I've had the recovery, I've had the sleep. It's not ride or die of like, are my arms there? Because my arms aren't the main movers, it's my back. My arms are just kind of the extension of my strength, if that makes sense. Or at least that's how I picture back. Okay, two more left in the tank. Okay, I was only a half rep near the end. Can't say that I got a full 10, but I'm working my way there. The first 2 sets were definitely moving really well. That last set, it's just what I gotta work on. Okay, got a quick drink before I move on to shrugs. Still working on the 80s for 12. It's still mainly about getting my wrist strength kind of up to par with the rest of my traps. And then I'm not having to crazily pull it all the way up, because I can still feel it. I can still feel it in my traps, even if I get like to this point, to like halfway up my neck. Like I don't have to completely like touch the side of my head in order for it to be a full and complete rep. Especially with shrugs, it's just the action itself that really is promoting the growth. It's not like up and back, it's not touching the side. Like there's a bunch of different variations you can do to kind of make it more intense. But at least for me, I've still seen good development just by completely shrugging upwards and using heavy weight like this. Ooh, okay. Definitely the dumbbells kind of rode up my hand, so I'm going to try to get a bit firmer of a middle grip next set. Okay, so I'm wanting to kind of get a bit more balance in myself. I felt like I didn't steal my stance before, like I was just ready. Like I was kind of just like walking side to side, just like not really thinking about it. But if you can have like a firm stance where you're just standing completely still and then it's all about what you're doing, like dumbbells, I mean, this is with barbell exercises too, but any free weights exercise, but dumbbells especially, if you can like get your balance really, really correct, that's gonna put more emphasis on like what you're actually doing. You can focus more on what you're doing rather than if you get like 5 reps in and then suddenly like you lose your footing, well, that's gonna massively affect the rest of what you're doing, especially with heavyweight like this. So I'm gonna kind of focus on my stance just a little bit more this time. Okay, one more rep. There we go. I wasn't finishing off the only 11. I wanted to get all 12. That was just mainly a finger slip rather than a lost stance. Now it's kind of surprising. Normally you'll see it on a Monday morning workout, but on a Wednesday morning workout when there's a lot more activity, a lot more action going on in the gym, it's kind of surprising. I mean, the later on into the week, the more surprising it is to see kind of a packed out gym. But I like the energy. I like the energy of just like everyone working together, because it doesn't matter if you're doing legs, it doesn't matter if you're doing chest, it doesn't matter if you're hitting back like me. Just having, I don't know, maybe that stems from just me learning to work out with other people at school. But when I mostly learned it, meeting up in the football locker room. I didn't play football, but we met in the football locker room, and then we would go warm up out on the field, and then we would go into the weight room, and then just like that sense of shared community, blaring music from these these terrible Walmart speakers that would shake, but they would shake the room with how loud the bass was, and people just yelling, people screaming, people getting after it. Just that idea of like pushing yourself beyond failure, that idea of having a bunch of, I mean, mine was all guys. It was separated by guys and girls, but today, like I've been in situations where it's men, women, doesn't matter what type of identification, it doesn't matter what race, it doesn't matter what belief systems and stuff. The weight is just so concrete, and the concreteness of that type of energy is just invigorating. And I find it in colleges, I find it in sports teams, I find it in so many things. And I think just that shared love of progress. I mean, even between you watching me, that shared love of progress that we both share, there's something amazing about it. There's something truly special about it. Definitely it for dumbbell shrugs. I'm going to mark on my log that I need a little bit more grip training with that. Maybe train it a little bit with wrist wraps, but now that I'm getting to higher weight, I need to think about grip more long term. Okay, I'm super excited for this. I'm super excited for chest supported rows because I really think I can push very, very hard on these sets. Now last time I had 2 high intensity sets of these. I don't know if I want to continue that. I feel like putting more volume on chest supported row is just going to help my overall row strength, and I think just while I'm building this endurance, while I'm trying to pull back as hard as I can, having 2 high intensities was a good trial run, a good practice exercise, I think. But in general, I think just 3 sets is what my body responds the most to. I feel like sometimes it can be trendy to try different things like that, but I just think in all honesty, I don't believe the hype of high intensity movements, but I think it just works individually. Like, I can't recommend you to not do high intensity, because if that's what gets you in and out of the gym the most, if that's what makes you enjoy your plan the most, I actually think that's the better thing for you. Because, I mean, shoot, even if someone enjoyed going to the gym and doing like 1,000 reps of jumping jacks, I don't think that's going to train you incredibly well comparative to other movements I might recommend, compared to like actual lifting, compared to anything. But like, if that's your entry point to the gym and that's how you keep physically active, I think any form of physical activity is good. It's like I said earlier, it's just like, what is the uniting thing? Like, we might do different exercises, we might look differently, believe differently, have different ideas about the gym, but the ideas about the gym don't really matter. It's the weight and duress you put yourself under that matters. So even if you see someone doing low intensity, even if you see someone doing different movements than you, and I mean, I will say kind of cowardly, even if you see someone doing a movement wrong, like, I've seen so many videos where someone's doing like a movement completely wrong, and people have to go and tell them what the right way is to do. I think I'm a little bit too shy, a little bit too nervous to go up to people and like correct them. I don't want to make any enemies, but I definitely think if you're seeing someone doing like something out, like if you're seeing someone do tiny little half reps of like if they're doing triceps and they're just like this, if they're like, you know, one of those like 100 rep people and they're not getting any deep form or anything, yeah, it's not very good for them, but I would just ignore it. But if you see them doing something like obviously dangerous, like benching with the bar at their neck, then go tell them something. Then that's a little bit of a different story. But I think like, even if you see someone doing like horrible quality reps, you know, whatever gets you in and out of the gym, I think at least for a beginner standpoint, that's one of the most important things, is just not degrading, not disparaging between different types of exercise at a beginner level. If you see someone doing something and it's getting them in the gym, it should be praised. Four more. Okay, 10 reps of that. I'm gonna continue that for 2 more sets. Okay, I know I did a lot of yapping before, a lot of bragging, a lot of just yada yada, but this set, I'm really thinking, since everything's warmed up, since I'm trying to bring a bunch of intensity to my back, really pushing myself close against the chest pad, similar to the second set I had last time. Even with the high intensity, that was a focus. It's keeping myself close to the chest pad, pulling as much back as possible, and then I just want better breathing for this. When you're pushing against the chest pad, it's just pushing out all your breath, and I want to be able to be close to the chest pad, but not just absolutely getting all of the air out of my system. I want to make sure I get good airflow, because that's what's going to help, you know, keep the same intactness, I guess, to muscles, keep them still firing the same way. I don't want to lose any power just from being out of breath. That was better. That was a better set. When I'm going this high, I can't say I'm having perfect sets, but I think I'm at least toning my body to be able to handle that weight a little bit better. You know something interesting that I have never thought about until now, that I probably, after what, 200 something videos, probably should have thought of by now, or even just within the 5+ years I've been lifting should have thought of. I definitely pull more weight on pull, like overall, there's more weight being moved on my pull days than there is on my push days. I never really thought of things like that before, but like in general, in terms of your upper body, I guess there is more like pulling strength than there is pushing, because pulling, I don't know if I can say for sure. My theory, my hypothesis would be just because you're actively pulling stuff a lot more, you're like, I mean, on a small scale, you're pulling out your chair to sit down, you're like pulling food towards you, you're like pulling items toward, like, I guess that makes sense. Like you're pulling items towards you to like actively use them and stuff. You're pulling boxes when you're like lifting stuff up. You're not really pushing stuff. The biggest edge cases where you'd be like pushing stuff would just be to like move stuff out of the way, or like pushing people out of the way, pushing chairs in, pushing stuff towards something. But like you're actively reaching for stuff a lot more than you are like pushing it away. I mean, like, even think of it from like the standpoint of babies. You're like reaching, you're grabbing onto stuff, and your parents are like, no, stop doing that, stop doing that. You're actively reaching for stuff because you're being a more, I guess, you're exploring the world a lot more through pulling things towards you rather than like rejecting it and pushing things away. I mean, obviously, there's some biological stuff, like if you see a bunch of little carrots in front of you as a baby and you don't like carrots, you're probably gonna like be pushing that away and stuff. But it's only those things that you really are certain of that you're gonna push them away, rather than the things that you don't know, you might be pulled towards them. I don't know if there's some big psychology term to that. I definitely am not a psychology nerd in any sense of the word, but yeah, there's a lot more pull going on than there is push. And maybe there's something biological about that. Maybe there's something psychological about that. So if you're a researcher in the comments, do some peer-reviewed study. I would actually be very interested to read something like that, of what the psychology is behind that, what the literature is behind that. That was a weird little side tangent. One last set, all out. I've got 250 loaded up on these things. I forgot to say the weight this whole time, but I've been working with 250. I want to pull it for 10 like I did those first 2 sets, but I want to make sure these reps are clean. Deep pull. Okay. Exhaustive on that. Whew, pretty exhaustive, but that's good. That's a good look before we move on to another heavy thing, lat pull downs. Okay, so like I said before, lat pull downs are interesting because, especially with how much I'm putting a bunch of load on my back without giving it, I guess, room for ample recovery, it's going to be different, because normally I might have some biceps, I might have some other stuff thrown in there, but lat pull downs are going to be both exhaustive because of how hard I hit pull-ups, and at the same time they're going to be a nice reprieve because it's directly lat targeted. It's directly targeting the sides, so it's not directly in my back, it's just kind of like the sides of my back. So it's going to be tiring, especially what I did with pull-ups. So because it's directly focusing on a different part, it's going to give my back at least a pause before I hit back extension and then rear delt rows. It's just a little bit different. I can't say it's taking anything off my back because we're still going crazy with these, and pretty sure your lats are a part of your back if I have that correctly. But in general, just working on, I guess, deeper pulls, same thing that I'm doing with chest supported row, where it's just really trying to keep myself static to this, keeping my core tight as I just pull all the way through, Very distinct reps. The high intensity reps, I did a lot more last time, and I was able to manage kind of some scrappy reps, but definitely want a little bit more control on these. Much better breathing on that than chest supported rows had. I'm pretty happy with how intense I kind of brought that, even though it was a lot more reps than last time. Okay, I'm gonna go crazy this set. I'm gonna go crazy with grabbing on as much as possible, really holding on to this, and I kind of have my grip highlighted in this shot because I'm gonna move the chair up just by one to get a little bit better grip. I want to show you that grip is definitely a big concern when you're doing these, more than you would think it is, just because it's what's attaching you to this weight. This, I might as well title this video the grip workout, because a lot of, that's kind of sus, I'm not going to title it that. The grip workout, that's so dumb. Sorry, I just totally distracted myself from that joke. No, I'm talking about grip so much because it really is important how you attach yourself to this weight. You know, if you think of yourself as part of the machinery, what's attaching this and like pulling it down? If you're thinking like you're just a gear in the clockwork of this machine pulling weight, then you need to think of yourself as like when you're attaching this, you're just part of what goes down in terms of like the lat pull down machine to almost act as like a seesaw. This grip right here and right here are both seesawing the other side of this weight up. And so you need to kind of think about, you know, what's going on with these machines. Especially at a higher level, you might be like, oh, I know how the machines work. I don't need to think about it. But if you think about it and return to the basics, you might get a better understanding and overall appreciation for what's going on if you think of yourself as how am I helping this machine move this weight? Not how am I moving the weight, not how is the machine helping me, how am I a part of the machine moving this weight? It's a very subtle thing, it's a very small cue, but I'm working on thinking about, you know, what are these smaller cues that are gonna transform my physique? Man, okay, that is completely exhaustive. I felt like my grip was absolutely being torn. The little calluses that I had are torn off me. Maybe it's just a little bit of the fatigue from what I've been moving with back. Okay, now you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Now you'll be able to see what I'm talking about from all the way up here, how it goes all the way down, and how when I pull this down, this seesaws up. So you need to be thinking about lat pull downs in a new way, in a new fashion. I know this doesn't really have any credibility other than myself talking about it, but trust me. Like, I didn't watch this from a video. This is from understanding the machinery that I'm working with, from working with this for year 2 now. It's about idealizing what's going on with the machinery. Like, why do you think people prefer certain machines over other machines? You could have a leg press machine that's a different brand, but that is essentially the same thing, but it just functions mechanically slightly differently. It might have some different nuts and bolts. It might have some different welding in order to make, you know, a bodybuilder like Chris Bumstead prefer it to put in his private gym. Now, why is that? It's the same machine as something else. He'll get the same pump from something else, but he prefers it for a distinct way it feels. There is a feeling to this machinery. It's nothing you can really put into like a science-based thing, but the more you work with these machines, the more you understand there is a difference. So if you think about how am I putting myself into this machine, it becomes very matter of fact. It doesn't become like, oh, I don't know if I can get this weight up. It becomes, oh, well, the machine is getting this weight up. It's assertive. It's this idea that, yeah, the weight's gonna be moving no matter what. It's how am I helping it? It's a new way to look at things. That was a very, very good last set. I'm happy with that progress. I'm happy with the way the machine is moving that weight. Now I'm gonna move down, hit some back extension, hit some rear delts, and then talk deeply about these mechanical new ideas I'm bringing to the table. Okay, so camera battery is running out rapidly. So I'm gonna have to make sure I finish this fairly quickly, less yapping, and I can charge up my camera and get more yapping in the car talk. But I've got 190 for this, a little bit, how do I phrase this? A little bit more than I normally go, so I don't know how deep I'm gonna be able to get the stretch in this, but I wanna go really, really well, so less talking and more of just kind of like deeply concentrating my lower back on these. Okay, 12 decent reps of this, a little bit more. Okay, very, very happy with those sets. I really like the cue of holding onto the seat. I think that got me a lot better of a stretch. Again, I'm gonna kind of talk about the cue for this one because with rear delt rows, it's a similar thing, except instead of the machine cue of how am I helping the machine, it's how are your arms servicing, you know, an extension of your back strength. How are my arms gonna wrap around this weight and use it to kind of almost be a rope, like pulling up a heavy cargo from a ship. It's almost like a fishnet catching a giant like whale and then just kind of like pulling it all the way up. It's using my arms in service of like the strength of my back in order to like get it all the way up. Now, less talking during this one too for the sake of camera battery, but the point here is I want to make sure that around that 9th rep that I can hold my grip right and get my grip still sustainable to that 10th rep. I don't know how doable it'll be, especially because I've had a small break since I've done it with pure dumbbells, but I'm going to really try to hone, even on this, you know, hard back day, which taxes my grip. So I want to go back a little bit to what I was talking about in the beginning of the workout with gratitude, with the ability to see everything, to see the full picture and realize I'm very lucky to be where I am. And I don't think a lot of people factor that into, the whole overall of their life when they're looking at stuff, when they're looking at the days ahead, when they're looking at struggles. They don't factor in luck. They don't factor in the, how difficult their struggles are compared to other people. They don't factor in the whole, luck situation that goes into that. You're very lucky to have the struggles that you do. I'm not trying to glorify pain because, that's awful. It's awful that people have to go through struggle. But the reality of life is struggle exists for everyone. Even people who are on top of the world have struggles that are insurmountable and something I can't even understand. Like getting to the point where you're like rich beyond compare and you have all this stuff, more money, more problems. You just create these new ideas for yourself and it doesn't matter. But there's a difference between a struggle of like, I'm hungry and I can't get any food, or I'm thirsty and I don't have access to clean water, or, like I don't have a place to rest my head tonight and I probably won't for the next 3 months. Those are much greater, glaring, like unimaginable concerns compared to I have a hard lift ahead of me today. And, that's kind of the truth. If you really think about the luck of it, you're kind of lucky to have maybe common problems, because common problems might be the ones that are the most like solvable, If you are at such a high level with problems, if you're like rich beyond compare, if you have like everything handed to you, if you're a ruler of power, then you have much more, I guess, personal questions to ask is like, who am I to people? Do I matter to people beyond my power and status, or am I like just this enigma that people are trying to chase? Like, what do I stand for? Like, you question all these personal things about yourself because this relationship that others have to you comes into question. And then if you're on like the lowest side of like having these deep pressing problems that I was talking about before, you are literally struggling to survive. It is a completely different type of problem. But if you're lined up somewhere in the middle, and I'm assuming if you have ample internet access and you're able to watch this video and you've had enough time to make it through to the end, you have probably common everyday problems that like a 90% of maybe like an American population would have. I'm just spitballing here. Obviously this could reach anybody along any sphere. But if you're right in the middle of that, I'd say those might be the best problems to have. And that might be controversial, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it because it's true. Going to the gym involves problems and struggles and strain that are not worldly. The gym is like a portal to a different world. The gym is something that I can't describe to people who aren't in it because you just have to know. And you have to know, and it's something that sometimes you need to describe to other people and they'll be like, what I do, you would just have to know too. If I wanted to be a painter and I wanted someone to describe the feeling of painting, they could describe a little bit of it to me, but if they're describing the flow state of painting, they're like, you would have to get a canvas, get an easel, and get in it to know why I love it so much. If I'm talking to like an electrical engineer, someone that's like way above what I'm doing, I'll have no understanding of it. They're gonna describe their love, like with their passions and stuff through words, but they're gonna be like, there's something to it. There's something with the connection, there's something with what I'm building that I won't be able to describe. And so it's something you really have to come to terms with, is that, there really is a beautiful flow state in solving problems. And having problems that are not, worldly, having problems that, might feel pressing, but they're kind of secondary. You gotta understand you're lucky. You're so lucky. You gotta be grateful for that. You gotta be grateful for the struggle to be able to wake up and go fight this crazy fight, to be able to like be rising yourself up, but not, be questioning anything. If you take everything and you're full of gratitude and you're not, taking everything so personally, if you're just looking at things and just realizing, come what may, problems that come, I'll find a solution and I'll just deal with that and I'm going to love the process. You have to love your process above all else. I think I'll stress that no matter what, no matter if I'm editing a YouTube video, no matter if I'm working with camera stuff, no matter if I'm having an exam the next day, no matter if I have a hard set in front of me, it's working through that process that brings me so much joy and happiness and love. And that's a secret to happiness right now. If you want to know after this video how to become more happy, it's to start loving your process and start being grateful for the problems rather than dreading them. Because if you live your life dreading problems, you're going to live a life pretty full of dread. On the other hand, if you start facing the problems with tenacity and love and desire to make positive changes in your life, you'll be there. You get what you give, and I'm trying to give a lot to this YouTube thing because I want to give a lot back to you. I want you to understand that the gym is an insane thing, and I want you to raise your mental up to a place that I'm at. I'm not saying every day is going to be perfect, but I'm saying I'm glad you've made it this far and you're watching this journey, and I'm hoping you're learning something from it and just trying to get better day by day. Have that gratitude all the time. I really, really appreciate you watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.